Meeting of the Town of West Warwick Planning Board, meeting in the Town Council Chambers, 1170 Main Street, West Warwick. Could we take a roll call?
Jessica Ruberry.
Here.
Joshua Barrett.
Here.
Joe Scott
Here.
Joe G. Martino.
Here. And item 1 is approval of the minutes from last week's meeting.
Make a motion to
approve?
approve them.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? No? Okay, hearing none. Who wants to vote to approve the minutes submitted from last week's meeting?
Aye.
So, okay. Then, item 2, this is a continuation of the public information meeting on the Nottingham Drive condominiums. Applicant is Atlantic Capital Real Estate, Inc. And location is Nottingham Drive, assessors plat 12-1, lot 31. It's residential R10, land area 21.79 acres. Number of lots is not appropriate, or not, and then the engineer is the pre-engineering.
Mr. Chairman, I have marked as exhibits, number 1, the application, number 2, the Deprete engineering letter of May 8th, 2019, number 3, the abutters list, number 4, the radius map, number 5, the DEM report of May 15th, 2015, number 6, the JDL fiscal impact report of March 19th, number 7, the RAB traffic report of September 21, 2018, number 8, the RAB supplemental report of February 21st, 2019. Number 9, the Scotty real estate report of February 28, 2019. Number 10, the 4-page site plan. Number 11, a petition in support of the project. Number 12, the site map. Number 13, RAB traffic study. That's a repeat. And then number, that'll be number 13, Peter Scotty resume. Number 14, the articles of incorporation for Capital Real Estate. Mr. Chairman, the meeting last month, the question was raised regarding the applicant as not being authorized to do business in the state of Rhode Island. That has been corrected. The town planner and I have both reviewed the report submitted by the Secretary of State. So the matter is now in order for hearing. When this came about last month, I suggested, and I believe the planning board accepted, that the testimony that was submitted by the experts and whatever testimony stands, the meeting will pick up from that point on.
Thank you, Al. So those of you who were here last month, you made a presentation, and then we were into public comment before we realized there was a glitch in the application. So we'll continue with the public comment at this point, and having basically we've heard everything last month, so for public comment, I guess anyone want to speak in favor of the proposal?
I just want to say I thank the solicitor for going through that. I have no problems with that. I just have one witness who was not present last time, and I can wait until after the public comment, and if the board has any questions for Mr. Lombardo, but I just want to make sure they do have his report, which I believe it was in. And I think it was toward the end, it was one of the exhibits you read. And I can make Mr. Lombardo available for any questions or comments, but I can do that after. I know the public has been waiting, and they should have an opportunity to speak.
Mr. Chairman, is there any new information that the team would want to provide prior to public comment?
Just this a witness?
With 2 or 3 questions that I would have for Mr. Lombardo, but I can do that at the end, or I can do that now, whatever the board's preference is.
I think we should do it now.
That's number 6.
Okay.
So I think we should do it now, because it may raise questions that others might want to
Okay, so I would just call Mr. Lombardo. Thank you, and I would submit his resume, if it has not been already, as the next exhibit.
Okay.
Thank you.
That will be number,
If it's not there, I would, and
Mr. Lombardo, have you previously been a witness before this body?
Yes, I have many times.
Okay, thank you.
And I agree. Mr. Lombardo, I'm offering you in the area of a professional fiscal and planning expert, and as you stated earlier, you've testified before this board, many of the boards, and in the Rhode Island Superior Court as an expert in such areas. Is that correct?
Yes, I have.
Thank you.
Okay,
At this
thank
time, I'd move him as an expert, please.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve Mr. Lombardo as an expert?
I move that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you. Mr. Lombardo, I know your report's in, so I don't want you to go into it in too great detail, but could you just tell the board very briefly how you compiled it and the findings? And before you do that, I have two questions for you. Mr. Lombardo, in your professional opinion, is this proposal consistent with the Town of West Warwick's comprehensive land use plan? And also the second question, is it also consistent, generally consistent with the neighborhood and the surrounding area? Thank you.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Yes, to answer those two questions, I would concur with those comments. They are. It is both consistent with your comprehensive plan and with the neighborhood, and I base that on...
Could you raise your right hand?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do. And I base those opinions not only on my own experience in review, but also on a review of the staff recommendations to the planning board. In reference to the fiscal impact study, I realize the board has had it for some time, and so I'm just going to really just give you the summary and the highlights. But as you could see, these age-restricted condominiums will generate net revenues of approximately $150,000 to the community. Obviously, with age restriction, there's usually not much chance that any school-age children could be there. They have to market these according to fair housing laws to those 55 and older, and then keep it at least 80% throughout the life of the condominium association. Just briefly, I utilize existing and current data. I use town budget numbers. I use census data. And with actually a more refined approach to this that I did here in West Warwick in a previous project, I combine this what's called the marginal cost approach analysis, which basically takes the bigger departments within your community, like police, fire, senior, library, parks, and appropriate certain amounts of the funds that are required to have people live in your community by those departments. So that establishes a multiplier for the residents of this new development. So again, we didn't calculate any school-age children, so we're then just taking on the revenue side the projected average sales price of these units at $275,000. At your current tax rate, would generate almost $180,000 in income if they were all built today. The expense side is that multiplier that I described to you, which would subtract about $30,000 of that to cover expenses for those 6 major departments. And when you subtract that from that, you're basically going to get that net number of $150,000. So I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have on that. I'm here for the night. So if you have questions later, I'd be happy to get up and answer them.
Thank you. Any questions? Anyone? No?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Okay. Attorney Shikarchi, you all set? Okay. We did have discussion at the meeting last month, and we're opening it up again to the people who might want to add to that conversation. Start with people who want to speak in favor of the applicant, if there's anyone here that wants to speak in favor. We did have one last month, okay? Otherwise, people who want to speak in opposition to it, okay.
Please state your name and address.
Yes, good evening. My name is Carolyn Petracha. I live at 27 Nicole Drive. I have spoken as an expert witness before this board before, but I am here as a resident.
Would you
to
raise your right hand?
Yes,
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
yes, I will. Just to familiarize myself with you, I own and operate a real estate company in Warwick. I've lived in West Warwick in Ward 5 for 40 years. I've owned property in town and other wards too. I am here tonight to tell you that my professional opinion of what's going on in the town with condos, and I'm going to make it very transparent. I actively sell real estate. I have condos on the market now, and I have new construction on the market right now. I am not anti-developer, but I am anti-common sense. And this is why I see a flaw in everything that's going on here. I took the time to visit all the 260 units that the governing bodies of West Warwick have approved in the past 3 years. I drove in them, I called the brokers, and I talked to them individually. Now, I'm here to tell you that from the time of January 1st, 2018 to September 1st, 2019, out of the 260 units, and that does not include your West Valley Inn that's on the market to come in, there have been 20 condo sales in this town from 250,000 up. There were, in comparison, in that same time, 154 single-family. Now, I'm not going to get emotional about this. I'm going to be factual. The fact of the matter is, if you take that amount of sales and you divide it between the, not, you guys probably weren't on it when all of these came through, have been approved, it will take 18 years for West Warwick to get their money. So it is an ill-conceived fact that this money is going to come rushing in to this town, because unless these units sell, that you're not going to get a dime. I spoke to the broker up in Joe Fromm. They're pretty much shut down, okay? I talked to the broker over in Kent County. They can't sell them. They can't get rid of them, okay? You just approved how many to go over, 50 to go over in Hilltop. That was a surprise to the residents, because that was supposed to be a dead deal years ago. So what I'm saying to you is this panacea that's going on in this town, that condos are going to solve the problems, just isn't there. It's not correct. It's not fulfilling what the town fathers think it's going to do. There will not be the money coming in. You will see these projects. The developers cannot afford to keep projects for 5, 10 years. It's just a fact. I've done new construction for 30 years. I think I understand what goes on with them. That's number one. Number two is there was a comment made that condos will increase residential value sitting next to it by 10 to 20%. We'd have to go into a recession like we did in 2005, wait another 10 years, and then maybe you'll see your 10 to 20%. But you're not going to see it because condos are coming in next to a residential area. It's not going to happen. I don't even know why someone would put that out there as a reason condos should come in. But more importantly, I'm going to give you a factual thing going on right now. I have a development in Warwick. I'm selling those condos, and they will be sold out in about 3 months. The main reason they're selling in Warwick and not West Warwick is because anybody buying in Warwick, the tax rate is going to be $6,000. If they came into West Warwick, it's going to be $8,400 for the same unit. And on top of that, Warwick picks up the garbage. So where do you think people want to be? They don't want to be where you guys and everybody else in West Warwick is approving these condos. It's a fact. I'll take it to my grave, and that's it. Okay? Any other questions?
Your study was based upon what age group of condos?
My study was based on 250 up. You can't consider the
But what
lower
was it
condos.
based upon, was it based upon, what type was it? Was it open condo? Was it based upon elderly? I'm just trying to get the grasp.
What I did is I ran everything that sold from 250 up. You can't sell a condo under 250 for new construction. It's impossible.
Right.
The lower-end condos that are selling right now are the older condos that have been in town for years and years. They're specifically first-time home buyer condos. Instead of them renting, they may go to one of those small condo developments. You can't compare that to what's on the board in town right now. And when you come right down to it, you're not serving the residents any good deeds by continuing to think this is working. It is not working. Just call the brokers in charge of all these projects, and they will tell you they're not selling, period. So I'd like you to take that into consideration.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question for the attorney. So you say the baseline condos are selling at $275. What's the bottom line? So if you estimate the tax that all of them sold at $150,000, what's the worst case scenario based upon the market to the town for the attorney.
I have to do the math off the top of my head, but the 275 would be the low, the base model, it wouldn't be
Okay.
lower than that. And then depending on the extras, if you wanted, they'd go up. But I'd look to
Okay.
just, if you want me to address some of these, I will. If you want me to wait until.
No,
the
let's
end.
wait till we hear from
We can wait. I
everybody.
just
Let's
wanna
wait till we hear
ask
from
you-
everybody,
Tell
and then
me
we'll
where
clear.
in Warwick that you're gonna sell out in a month, or 2 months.
Centerville Glen.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you, Carol. Okay, anyone else speak? Okay.
State your name and address.
Mark Fleury, 76 Nottingham Drive.
Raise your right hand. So I tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I've lived in the neighborhood for over 5 years now. I can tell you that this project is not in conformity with the rest of the neighborhood. However, I wanted to speak to some of the documents that I had an opportunity to review. But first, I think the board needs to consider the fact that, and I know there was an issue before the last meeting, which I was unable to attend, with this particular Atlantic Capital status with the state of Rhode Island. I think legally, the notice provision was not met for this meeting. And I think you guys need to consider that. I know there was an opinion that was given at the beginning of this meeting, but I don't agree with it. The notice provision, everything from the application up until today, up until September 10th, I think I looked earlier today, was when they finally registered with the Rhode Island Secretary of State, is basically null and void. They filed an application under a fictitious name that was not an entity existing in the state of the Rhode Island. No additional notices went out to this meeting. I don't think anybody here received a notice. Did anyone receive a notice? Not one notice went out for this meeting. So therefore, I know the actions, I think all the testimony at the prior meeting is insufficient. I don't think it meets the requirements for a hearing because the notice was deficient and came from an entity that did not exist. For those reasons, I think the considerations, if you guys go forward with this, that any decisions by this board on this project are in jeopardy. If they are approved or not approved, I think that's a misnomer.
You are aware that we don't make a decision, we make a recommendation to the zoning board, who then makes the decision, right?
I think
You're
any
aware of that?
recommendations, I think
Okay.
any actions on this application would be a violation, okay? That's number one. First, I was looking at the next I was looking at the traffic study, assuming you guys go forward with this meeting today, which I think is a mistake. The traffic study looks at traffic coming up Nottingham Drive, which is my street, going by my intersection over towards Crossbow. I didn't see any mention of any of the other streets in that neighborhood. And anybody that lives in that neighborhood can tell you right now that the traffic also flows down Crossbow through the rest of the neighborhood, out through Coventry, where it meets over there by Exchange, to get to New London Avenue, because now all the residents, anybody looking for a shortcut going to the side of New England, travel down the rest of those streets. No discussion of that in the impact. So how that's going to be impacted. There was discussions about an intersection between Crossbow and Nottingham. There's a intersection at what I believe is Friar Tuck at that point in Nottingham, not mentioned in the report, which is also just as bad, if not a worse, of an intersection when they designed that neighborhood. People, it's a soft corner, people come flying by it, just like the one at Crossbow in Nottingham. Again, I think a deficiency in that report. I also think it's a deficiency in the report in that you're building more units versus the houses. There's no way that that's going to have less of an impact on traffic. No way. And anybody going out down Greenbush between September and June, in the morning hours, going down Greenbush, the traffic on that road when school is in session is abhorrent. The traffic backs up the hill onto Greenbush. For those reasons, I think the traffic impact on this, if this project is approved, is going to have a detrimental impact on this neighborhood. This project does not fit this neighborhood. It shouldn't be there. You know, there was petitions that went around before. I don't know if the planning board has them. I know they were submitted to our council. I have one copy here tonight. We'll file it with the town hall, but I can tell you a majority of the residents do not support this because this project is going to have impacts both from the traffic perspective, but I think when it ultimately bears out, and I understand, I know this is not necessarily in your purview, but it's going to impact the property values negatively in that area. Having a condominium complex in a single-family homeowners houses type of a development does not fit. It should not be there. There's one thing to put something off of Greenbush Road or East Greenwich Avenue where those projects already exist, but to come into a neighborhood to do that is inappropriate, and this board should not take action on this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Al,
Item number one.
on the first, is it, legit, that the applicant didn't file in enough
I think
advance?
it's okay.
You think it's okay the way it is? Okay. All right, based on the advice of our attorney, we're going to continue. Okay. Sure, come on up.
My name is Kathleen Baggini. I live on 50 Crossbow Lane.
Okay.
Right in the middle of
Okay.
the mess.
Okay.
Could you raise your right hand?
Yes,
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay.
I lived there from the inception of Crossbow Lane.
Yep.
When they built that street, houses were hot, they were going up 10,000 per month back in 1985 and '86. They stopped the building behind us because it was not buildable. There were water problems, significant water problems, but the number one problem was the Hawkinson Brook. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that is one of the top tributaries from the Patuxent River that flows down to Flattop, to Tyoke, and we've tried to address it when we put up the addition in, the phase 3, let's call it in Nottingham, up on the hill.
Yeah.
That goes a great distance up to the side here, imagine, okay, this tremendous hill. From the top of that hill, you can actually see the bridges, that's how high Nottingham phase 3 is. Then on the side where it's going to be right behind this development, it also goes up on Maiden Marion, up quite a distance. Then if you go down to Compton Road, you'll see there's a great breeze back there. And where is the water going? It's going in Crossbow Lane, our backyard. So they put in a retaining pond in phase 3. That failed to retain the water. It is a complete swamp back there. I can show you pictures of my home in my backyard after it rains. It's not pretty. We have a major sump pump, biggest sump pump you can put in. So do all my neighbors. And the river flows right along Nottingham Drive, the end of Nottingham Drive. Then they came back and they put massive pipes in because Lincoln Almond deemed it one of the most important rivers. He gave an open space grant to West Warwick Greenbush area for $1,311,275 to protect the forest area around Hawkinson Brook. It is major importance. Now, if you go down Greenbush School and you walk along that open space, you will see that the fish run down that street. They spawn up, they lay their eggs. This is an important major thing, and our rivers are extremely important in this state. However, for myself personally and my neighbors who are here, who've been plagued with these water problems, and the blasting from the last development that went in, because every time we've done anything to our home, put in a fence or our pool, we're charged extra because of the ledge. The ledge runs totally through there. There are rocks back there that are taller than me. And the river runs, I have pictures, you could pass them along if you want.
Should we get these
This is from the DEM.
evidence,
Hold on, let the attorney,
recorded
hold on.
as evidence?
You got
Hold
to
on, we gotta
present it
check.
to the attorney.
Yeah, present them to the attorney.
I will mark them as exhibit number 15.
The open space grant that was given, $151,000, and a local grant, the personal grant, $30,000 was the local grant, $375,000. This is all online, open space grant from Governor Almond, $1,311,000. This is where the brook is. This is where the development comes across and is built, right here along the Hawkinson Brook. And the Hawkinson Brook runs underground and above ground. Sorry, I'm a little nervous because this has been a real long journey for us on Crossbow Lane. Between the blasting and then all of the flooding we experienced and all the expenditures for our home, for all the work, we just put on a garage, raised our property up so it would slope off, spend an enormous amount of money, and this is the online article about that particular piece of property. This right here is for the town of West Warwick, is right here, it shows the grant money that was received. This is my backyard, which by the way gets ducks, deer, raccoons, coyotes. That's my backyard. That's my personal little pond that wasn't there when I bought my home. This is the information, and you you can see by comparison the elevation here, 0 feet on this brook, and that brook, and this brook. We're 144 feet. There's nowhere else that the water can do. It's physically impossible for us to contain this. We've attempted this. This is my backyard when it rains. There is a river that comes downhill, comes into my backyard.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
could you please go back to the?
Yeah, actually, what,
Just
Let
hand,
me just give you these. You can show
okay.
them later.
Actually, before you leave, I'm going to ask you a question
Yes.
on this site plan. Can you come and point out where you live?
Somewhere here or here. Yeah, no, right here.
Okay,
That's us.
okay, okay, thank you.
But the water goes all throughout our property. And personally, like, I feel as a taxpayer, there has to be some responsibility here. We want to be heard, and I'm sure many others here that have suffered through this. We've been through enough. When they put in that last development, they blasted 10 to 20 feet down of ledge to build in that. And then behind that, Coventry, approximately a year and a half, 2 years ago, was going to put in multifamily development.
I can't pick it up if you're not.
Multifamily development that
Into the
attached,
mic.
that attached to, the multifamily development attached to Nottingham, okay? And we fought it. West Warwick went, not us, but our town councilman, fought it and won and stopped them from building multifamily units there. Why? Because we were plagued with water problems.
Okay.
So if Coventry would listen to us, please, listen to your people. We're your taxpayers.
Okay.
And we've been here a long time.
Okay, okay. All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
The attorney, you haven't done any test boring or anything like that, so we don't know if there's ledge on our development, or
No.
just a quick question.
No, that's, yeah, okay.
Yeah. We have done some preliminary, and it's bony, but it's certainly
Okay.
viable, otherwise we wouldn't go forward. I just
Okay.
want to point out that obviously we'd have all the proper testing and
Yep.
Yeah.
license and bonding, DEM, town engineers, as you all know, is a process, permitting process, and we would follow that process.
Yeah, I just would think if you were planning a development this
Yeah.
big,
We-
everything was all ledge, it would.
Yeah, we wouldn't-
Definitely, the price would.
We would stop. It's very doable.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, state your name.
and address.
Roger P. Richards Jr., 1 Crossbow Lane, West Warwick, Rhode Island.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir. Got a few things. First off, as I said, 1 Crossbow Lane, I live diagonally across, so I'm going to probably be one of the top 3 people impacted by this whole project, shall I say. For the record, one thing I would like to make a recommendation on, or shall I say I'm happy about, was this piece of paper that came off the internet, the agenda. It looks like it's called Planning Office Recommendation. I would like to say that I am in favor of item number 16. For the record, if you could put that on there. Due to the fact of my property, I've actually sent Mr. Cruel emails before this whole property was
Okay,
developed. I do like the idea that you guys are really considering on that. The one thing I hope is that it's not going to look like a ghetto, asphalt kind of curb like they have over off Pulaski Street. I hope it's professional looking, whether, even, if this plan, which way this goes, or in the future if we can look into that, because I've been telling my councilman, even Brian Tucker and now John D'Amico, that this really needs to be a 3-way stop sign, and I need to have a 90-degree curve. I have 2 little kids. Now, I don't know if I'm going to stay in this area in the next 5 years, depending on how the town is or anything, or the school system. But I would like to say that I am definitely in favor of number 16, if anything. I'm not in favor of the condos, but number 16 I am in favor of. I do want that 3-way stop sign, okay? I can tell you, I sit out there so many times. The West Warwick Police Department, you guys could pay off the budget if you put a cop there every day of how much stuff I see, all right? This town would be bankrupt.
Okay.
I'm just going to say that to you, okay? No, I'm getting heated, okay? Sorry. I bought this property 6 years ago. If I known I was going to go through this mess, what I've gone through recently, I wouldn't have bought over in this town. I would have went to Warwick. In fact, I turned down houses near Arctic because I don't want to live in a ghetto. All right?
Can you just refrain from using that word?
Sorry.
It could,
I'm sorry.
cause some problems, please.
All right, first off, I want to present to you guys, if I can submit it, the traffic study that was done. Mr. Flory basically said how you guys only specifically mentioned Nottingham Drive and Cross Pauline. Well, I've got a map here of all the other streets, if you guys, if I can maybe submit it, if not, of the other streets that will be impacted. Exchange Road, Longfellow Drive, Whittier, even actually some of the Cone Drive will be impacted too. People will be cutting through left and right to let you know. I just want to let you guys know that. If you want, I can give everybody all the streets.
We'll submit it.
There you go. That's right, we have to have plenty of copies.
Exhibit number 16, street map.
Okay.
I mean, it's, when I heard the study, I was very, kind of shocked to hear they didn't include that. So as I said, I moved there, paid a decent amount for my house, lucky it was low.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna be staying there, first off. I'm debating if I wanna put an addition on. It depends what happens here. As Carolyn said, we have way too many condos. This neighborhood has been fighting since 2015 for everything, more than we wanna fight. If this guy was gonna build the condos and put like a Trump wall, shall I say, or some kind of big wall up and make the entrance from Energy Way, I probably wouldn't care about it. But the matter of fact is, you have beautiful property back there. This neighborhood needs single-family homes. We don't need any more condos. I think a comment was made about more kids in the school system. Well, you're going to get quality people when they come to Greenbush section. You're going to get, attorneys, tradesmen. It's an area that needs more people, more family. That's why I bought there, for family. I didn't buy there, pretty much to live in possibly rental property. That's the other thing. Second off, as I read the study over here, a couple of things in the study. One was the school system you guys compared it to. How can you compare West Warwick to Charahoe? I mean, Charahoe is up there in the school system, and, I tried to find the population
I
figures.
want you to know I'm on the school committee here in West Warwick.
Okay.
Okay, and I would make the argument that we're better than Charo.
Oh, I know,
Not
but
as-
I'm saying-
Not insufficient compared to Charo.
I don't know how they found Charahoe. I mean, I thought they would have found, with population-wise, maybe like a North Providence or a Johnston. That's what I thought they would have compared it to, at least. Not saying like that with the school, but I'm just saying, what I meant to say was,
Charahoe do several communities though?
yes,
Charahoe's
but
Charahoe's
But I
regional.
thought with the population and everything, I tried to compare it to Johnston or North Province. Those numbers seemed a little more, shall I say, and when I looked on the line, it seemed like they were a little more better off. Like, it seemed like the population seemed similar.
Listen, sir, you're starting to upset me, right?
No, I'm saying-
Because I live on Knoxon Street.
No, I know.
And your neighborhood's no better than my neighborhood.
No, what I'm trying to say is, I'm trying to say the population of the towns, I was trying to
You gotta
populate.
take it down a notch, because there are people that's just not from these neighborhoods.
All right, I'm just trying
We
to
all
tell.
live in the same, we all put our pants on the same
No, I know.
way.
What I'm trying to say is population-wise, I was trying to say of Johnston and North Providence. I was trying to do
I
the
get it, but
that's what I was
hearing
trying
that,
to.
Please.
All right, well, I was just trying to say the population-wise to let you know. I was trying to be comparable to you guys when I went online to research, that's all.
Okay.
And the last thing I have to ask is, on the fiscal impact, and maybe they can answer back here. It says, fair housing law requires the project of its entity to be sold to residents 55 and older and at least one of the primary buyers, but at least the law permits resale value for 20% of the units to be sold of anybody under 55. So my question is, in the future, what's this going to bring? That's the question. I mean, so that mean that these aren't really technically over 55 and over or not? Sir?
There.
No, just by this, when you found this paperwork. So that means you can sell them technically under 55?
We gotta
Yeah.
make a voluntary decision.
Okay, I just, I don't get this.
Okay,
When I saw
all
that.
right,
That's all.
okay.
I got it off the, Mr. Carullo, sent it, was the fiscal
Would you
impact
speak
study.
into the mic, please, and address the,
I'm sorry, sir, it was a fiscal impact study?
and address the chairman?
Sir, is the fiscal impact study over here? And, it's on page,
Lombardo's report, okay,
it was on page, number 4.
okay,
At the bottom, it says note fair housing law.
okay,
That's all.
okay,
And pretty much like I,
okay.
no, but we're here for a 55 and over, we're here for a 55 and over project, from what I understand.
Yep.
That's my
Yep.
main question is, what's gonna happen in the future? That's what I'm really worried about.
Okay, okay,
But like I said, I appreciate if you guys really consider everything. I mean,
Yep.
I moved there to boot to a single-family residential neighborhood, and that's about it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just a quick question. If this was to change, they would have to come back through the process, right?
oh,
So they
yeah,
go from
well, we
55.
really can't approve the project anyway.
No, but I'm
We
saying
can
is,
recommend to the zoning
they
board.
change
Well,
it, they
Then
go
the
to
zoning
change-
board will decide
Yeah.
whether to approve it or
If
not,
it's
not
55
us.
and older,
We just
and then-
recommend.
Okay, so
so-
if there was a change 55 and older, they would have to come
They'd
back.
have to come back, yeah,
There's no way of.
There was a note in one of these.
yep, okay.
Could you state your name and address, please?
My name is Robert Lally. I live at 75 Nottingham Drive.
Raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. Okay. In 1978, I lived in Oak Haven, Coventry. My wife and I not child, we said, we need a bigger house, but we want to stay in a very nice residential neighborhood. So we rode around and we found Mike Satmary building houses, Nottingham Estates. So we decided that we would pick out a house in there because we were told that it was strictly a residential area. Fine. It's fine. I think that's great. But contrary to what's going on, all of a sudden you decide you want to change the zoning in part of my area. That seems to be okay. Well, I don't think it is okay. As a matter of fact, all of you people who don't live in my neighborhood are not experiencing what I experienced, because I live right on the corner of Nottingham where all the cars, I had to cut trees down in front of my house so I could make sure that nobody would get hit. I'm watching children walking down the street in the morning. I'm watching buses go down the street. And the traffic on that road is horrendous, number one. Number two, 55 or over, what makes you think they stay home? Those people are out probably before you guys are. I know. I work in the market, I see them in the market, and they're over there at the gym. So they're out there early in the morning when the kids are going to school. That's why there's problem at the intersections, okay? So I'm saying to myself, what happens if next to your property there was a nice piece of land and somebody says, you know what, I'm going to put a small garage there. All I need is a zoning change. I'll be all set. What's to prevent that? What is the purpose of the zoning if you can change it just like that for no reason, for no good reason, when there's so many reasons why it should not be changed? It really shouldn't. I understand, I've been here before for the previous one on 175.